My client was feeling dejected after being fired. Everything had gone sideways after the first year. I don't believe in myself anymore. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am a failure. Maybe I'm not meant for this kind of job. Confidence is a complex beast composed of many layers of reality, self-perception, and the perception of others. But life and work have a way of chipping away at our confidence until we give up our power and stop living the life we deserve. We're hungry for a fix, but we don't know where to begin. I'm Larry Cornett, and this is Invincible Life. It's funny. We start our life with a lot of confidence, I think. If you watch a toddler that's been raised in a loving home and things have gone pretty well and they've been taken care of and loved, we have a lot of confidence. We have that confidence of someone who's never encountered harsh criticism, never been punished for failure, and probably hasn't suffered the torment of bullies yet. But as I said, life and work, they have a sad way of chipping away at our self-confidence. And a lot of people find that they've lost the power they used to feel, and they aren't pursuing the life that they really deserve. And they don't know where to begin. They don't know how to fix it. But what if the real breakthrough that you've been seeking to regain your power is already inside you? And that's what I'm going to talk about in this episode. This is reclaiming your power. And I'm going to go into the concept of empowerment coaching. This is issue 136. If you go to newsletter.invinciblelife.me. I've been coaching clients for the past 9 years, mostly leadership coaching and career coaching, doing some business coaching as well. And I've learned that lasting change only occurs if we work on inner issues. However, many of the people that I have worked with over the last 9 years have wanted quick results, pretty quick results. For example, they want to find a new job quickly. Makes sense. You know, they've been laid off, they've been fired, or they're having a bad situation at work, and they just want to get a new job. Or they want to prepare for a job interview that's coming up next week. I've had a few people call me and say, hey, can you help me with job interview coaching? I said, okay, cool. When's your next job interview? And they said, in 2 days. Can't do a lot of deep work if you're just going to coach for 2 days to get ready for an interview. Or they need help dealing with an issue at work. It can be they have a toxic boss and they're trying to figure out how to manage that person. Or they've ended up in a toxic work environment where it doesn't feel like they fit in. They're not being supported and they feel like they may have made a mistake. I often work with people that are struggling to land a promotion. You know, they've been working for a few years in the company and they keep being promised that promotion that never really appears, and so they want help with that. Or I coach leaders who are dealing with some specific leadership challenges. It can be stuff that's change management, can be a reorg, it can be a strategy challenge, whatever it might be. But most of the time, there is this sense of urgency where it's only a few days or weeks, at most a month. And that means we don't have time to uncover the deeper issues, to work on the root causes and build some lasting solutions. Because when I see that someone isn't just having trouble with one job, but every job, if every job is terrible and they have conflict with every boss, there's a deeper issue. There's a root cause that we should be uncovering and working on. But they really just want a quick fix. And so we may solve the immediate surface level problem. They find a job. We help them interview well. They get hired, negotiate a good offer. Great. And so they land the job and they smile and walk away. but I have found that history tends to repeat itself later. In other words, they find themselves back in the same situation again. They're struggling, they're frustrated, they're unhappy in this job about a year or so later, and so they reach out to me again. So I would rather help people address the underlying issues so they can enjoy the benefits of a lasting change that will improve their lives and their careers, hopefully forever. And that includes building greater self-confidence, and I mean real self-confidence. I've written about this before. It's not about faking it until you make it. Reclaiming their power. I think we've all had power at some point in our life, but we gave it up, or we lost it, we forgot it, we suppressed it. Knowing what they really want in life, not what they've been told to want. And a surprising number of people that I work with are pursuing a career path and a life path that isn't one of their choosing. Could have happened with a parent who told them who they were going to be when they grew up. Could happen with the educational system, who knows. But they're not really pursuing the life that they want. Getting better at recognizing the best environments for them, the best people for them to spend time with, because this is very true. You know, you can have somebody who's very talented and very good at what they do, but if they get dropped into the wrong environment, surrounded by the wrong people, they're not going to do well. They're not going to thrive. And so it's really important to understand what is the right environment for you. Where will you thrive? Where will you succeed? Who are your people? Helping people achieve their most important goals. And this is important to uncover that what are the real goals? What are the important goals, not the surface level goals? This also can help improve personal relationships. Relationships with a partner, relationships with parents, siblings, friends. And in the end, just becoming happier, healthier, and feeling more fulfilled. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to feel like they're operating at their best and they're fulfilled in life? It just makes you feel capable, like you can handle anything that comes your way. That's a great feeling. It makes you feel successful. You're achieving things you want to achieve, the important things you want to achieve. And then finally, it just makes you feel empowered. You feel empowered for the rest of your life, which that's an amazing thing. So I've decided I really want to transform this relatively new life coaching business into a personal empowerment coaching practice. Everything improves in your life when you truly become empowered and you take control of your work and life. By the way, if this type of coaching, this concept of empowerment coaching is resonating with you, you can book a completely free call with me to talk more about it. I will not hit you with a sales pitch. Anybody who's worked with me or done one of my free calls knows I don't make a sales pitch. I'm not going to hit you with that. I'm going to try to help you. I'm going to listen. I'm going to ask some questions, and I really want to help you as much as I can in that free call. And if you want to work with me, that's your choice. I'm not going to push anything. So if you go to invinciblelife.me, there's a button where you can book a free call with me. You can also go to this newsletter. If you go to newsletter.invinciblelife.me, there's a button and a link in there to book a free call with me. Totally free. No strings attached, folks. So I came up with a couple of metaphors that I think can help think about this difference between empowerment coaching and other types of coaching and consulting. I like metaphors. If you've been listening to me for a while, I really enjoy them. That's just kind of who I am. So let's use the fishing metaphor. You've probably heard this one before. Consulting means I do the fishing. I do the fishing for you so I can give you a fish, right? Coaching is I teach you how to fish for yourself. So I'm not going to do the fishing for you. I'm going to teach you how to fish, and then you can fish for yourself. Empowerment coaching digs a little deeper to the underlying real need of hunger. I help you become empowered so you feel confident feeding yourself in any situation. You might fish, you might go hunting, you might plant a garden, you might go out and eat at a cafe, or you're going to go shopping, bring some great ingredients home and cook your own meal. That's the difference. I either do the fishing for you, I teach you how to fish, or empowerment coaching. The real issue, you're hungry and you should feel empowered to cure that hunger in any way that makes sense in the current environment. So I know that's kind of a silly example. So let me give you a very real one. Let me give you a very real example from my career coaching practice. Consulting means I write an amazing resume for you. I write the resume for you. Coaching means I teach you how to write your own amazing resume. Empowerment coaching means I help you become empowered so you can confidently find and land great jobs for the rest of your career in a way that might not even require a silly resume. And if you follow my career podcast, you know how I feel about resumes. So it's basically showing some of my invincible career job search strategy that gives you a completely different way to find great jobs and have a great career the rest of your career that isn't traditional, and you're empowered to do that. You do it on your own. And I think what we are all experiencing in this world makes this more important than ever. Becoming empowered, believing in yourself. Because many people have been working way too hard. This has been going on for a long time in the corporate world. I know it well. I spent over 20 years grinding in the corporate world and climbing the ladder. A lot of people are not setting boundaries. I understand that. And they're just not taking care of themselves. They sacrifice their health and their relationships because they're so focused on the career. And so people are burning out. They are burning out. I talk to people like this every day. That's why it's so important to dig deeper and feel empowered so you can take control of this situation. And I'm sure you're all understanding what's going on with the economy. It's a huge issue in America, but it's a problem globally. There's economic worries. There are considerable political uncertainties. I know we say this all the time, but it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad in the U.S., and now we're seeing a lot of scary things happening in other countries too. And I think we can't deny what's happening with AI, with artificial intelligence. The rise of AI, which has exploded over the last year, it's affecting the job market. It is definitely affecting the job market. We have seen a significant number of layoffs and job losses over the past year. Companies are nervous. They're nervous about hiring, so they're cutting back. They're cutting back on spending. They're cutting back on hiring. And it is taking longer than ever before to find a new job. I recently talked with a vice president who had a great career, very talented. Everybody agrees. And it's been over a year that they've been looking for a new job. And then finally, I've been seeing more, I guess you would call it kind of a personal awakening that was triggered by the pandemic that happened many years ago, right? And I think you could argue the pandemic never really stopped. Everything kind of changed forever. And it was quite traumatic for many people. Some of us lost loved ones and friends. I know we did. All of us became acutely aware of our mortality. And so what I'm seeing is many people want more out of life. They want to enjoy life. They are frustrated and they're tired of settling for less. So I want to talk a little bit more during the rest of this episode about what empowerment coaching is, how it's changed some of my clients' lives. I already gave one example of a client who needed this, what the process can be like and how it can unlock things in your own life. And I want to repeat that this isn't about quick fixes. It's about lasting change that really builds on what's inside you already. That maybe you've forgotten, maybe you've repressed, maybe it's been damaged. I have an empowerment framework and system that I've created that guides clients through this process step by step. If you go to newsletter.invinciblelife.me, this is Reclaiming Your Power. Let's talk about empowerment coaching, issue 136. And you can check out this diagram. I think it really helps explain the toolbox, your system, choosing your goals, and then ending up at that end state of being empowered for life, changing how you do things for life. And so this is really about helping you uncover and tap into your latent power and the capabilities that you have. It's about shifting from a model of really looking externally for validation and being controlled externally, and that's often by other people, to tapping into that internal strength. And most importantly, that confidence, that self-confidence is so important. I've seen it drive so many opportunities for success with people, and a loss of confidence can damage everything. There are limiting beliefs, I think, that we all have that hold us back. There are old patterns of behavior. This happens starting with childhood, and it's really hard to break out of those. And there are many things that have happened in our lives, whether that's in early family relationships, things that we encountered during school, things that happen at work that have squelched our empowerment. It's not surprising. I think we're all familiar with that. So I think there's often the case of people not really deeply understanding who they are, who you really are, not who you've been told to be, not, I don't know if I want to call it lies, but some fable that you've been taught about who you are, and not really understanding what you want out of life, instead of being told this is what you should do in life. And that can be by parents, it can be by the educational system, a boss even, or our culture. Our culture definitely influences what we think we want out of life. I think there's been a problem with people not fully believing how capable they are, how successful they've already been, and how powerful you can be. And I have a process that helps people work through this and start to recognize the big wins they've already had during their entire life. There's another limiting belief that you don't accept that you deserve to live a good life, that you deserve a great life. I know it sounds kind of unbelievable, but I've talked with people who don't feel like they deserve it. And that's not true. I think good people deserve to live a good life. I've talked about this before. Hey, I don't like bad people. I don't coach bad people. Wow. We've all encountered a lot of unpleasant people in our lives and bad people in our lives. I don't work with those people, and I certainly don't want to help them be more successful. So I work with good people. I work with nice people. And if that's you, you deserve a good life experience. You deserve good relationships. You deserve happiness. You deserve to feel fulfilled in your life. It's too easy to let yourself get caught up in what I call the hamster wheel of daily life. So you're so busy with work and the other demands of your life, especially if you have a family, that you never really take a step back. You don't take a step back to look at the big picture. You don't take a long-term view. And that's one of the exercises I have people do, is to look out to the very end and say, where do you want to end up in life? What would make you happy? What would be fulfilling for you? What would give you purpose and meaning in life? And then how can we work toward that? What's the plan to get there? The other mistake I see is that people often let other people and other things determine their path in life. I've heard it described as letting your career happen to you. People say that. My career just happened. I didn't make a plan. I didn't take control. Some people say my life kind of just happened to me. I don't feel like I've been in charge. And there's certainly a lot of cases where other people control you. And that can be someone in your personal life. It can be your boss. I mean, definitely that happens. So one of the important things about empowerment coaching is that you are the expert of your own life. As a coach, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. I'm not going to do it for you. That's disempowering, right? I'd never want to make a decision for you because you're the one who has to live with it. It has to be something that you've chosen freely, that you know you really want. And because you choose it, you feel empowered because you're the one who's deciding. So my job is really to help you remember who you are, uncover what you want, and to embrace your power so you can go after it. And as I mentioned earlier, there is no better time to do this. I mean, burnout is out of control. AI is changing the working world. It's redefining professions. It's killing some professions. It's definitely impacting careers. A lot of entry-level people are no longer getting hired. I've seen that. And the daily crises that we see, I don't know about you, but every day I open the news, I'm like, oh man, what's going on now? I think it is really showing us how short life can be, how precious life is, right? So a little bit about how this works. I already described the framework. I'd love to have you take a look at that. It can be hard. It can be hard to disrupt and interrupt those default patterns of behavior. We get into habits and we're functional. Some of you are quite successful and it's working for you, but you're not happy. You're not fulfilled. So it's hard to break out of that. So we get into habits of how we respond to things and respond to people. How we think about ourselves, very common. And how we limit ourselves. The stories we tell ourselves, like, I'm not good at this. I can't do that. I'll never be able to do this. I used to tell myself that. I remember telling myself I hate public speaking. I'm afraid. I'm scared. I'm too shy. That was a limiting belief. It was really impacting my career. It was making it very hard for me to break into leadership. And I finally conquered that. It was something I wanted to conquer. Not everything is going to be something you want to conquer, but I think there are things that if you took ownership of that, you would break through some of your limiting beliefs about yourself. So I talked about this empowerment framework and system that I've built, and it really just guides you through a step-by-step process of first, deeply understanding yourself. I have people write something I call the story of you, and that goes back to your earliest childhood memories. Can even be augmented by talking with family members, your parents and siblings who've known you and know things about you that maybe you've forgotten. Most likely you have. And so it is going through your entire life story and writing about what have you overcome? What are the successes you've had? What have you already conquered that you've forgotten about? What are things you've always been interested in doing? Things you've always been good at doing? That maybe you just take for granted. It's like oxygen to you, but they see it and they can remind you about it. So the story of you is an important first step, and it's a little bit of work, but once it's done because you can't go back and rewrite your life history. And then using that and kind of a guided exercise to document what is in your toolbox. I call this your toolbox of talents, your knowledge, your skills, your experiences, things you've learned through life, through your education, through work, you name it. So what do you have to work with? What is in your toolbox? And then looking at that, you can say, well, where am I going to double down? Where am I already strong? And I should leverage it more. I should invest more in it. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're in a job that doesn't use what is your strongest tool. Is there a way to change that? Then there are going to be things you want to improve. Like I did, I improved my public speaking. There might be something you want to work on because you think it will help you. There may be a new tool you want to acquire. You might want to get better at it because you think it will help you because now you know the future that you want. And then there's things just to make peace with letting go of. There are things that I'll never be good at and I don't care anymore. Life is too short. I don't have time to try to improve at things that I don't think I'll ever get that good at. And I don't really need. I don't think it's that useful for me. And so I'm going to invest in areas that I'm already strong and I know are important for me. Then an important step is identifying, well, what are your most important goals for your life and your career? Not the ones you've been told, not the short-term little goals like, oh, I just want to get a raise. That's not a huge goal. Getting a promotion is not a huge goal. Where do you want to end up in your life? What would you consider the ultimate success in your career? Let's figure out what those things are. And then that system I talked about. There is a system that you establish a vision, you build a mission, you create strategies, you set objectives, you make plans, you map those into a real calendar and create milestones. And then you plan out your actions. What are you actually going to do? And most importantly, and I talk about this a lot, how are your daily habits going to change to enable things to move forward in a positive way? And what are some habits you want to get rid of? That is possible too. So it's really important to pick a goal. And this can be a life goal. It could be a career goal. It could be a business goal if you're a small business owner or a solopreneur. And then say, I'm going to build the system to accomplish that goal. And it's very detailed. It's step by step. That's something I want to help people with. So as you start to achieve these goals, you start to stack up wins. And you realize how powerful you really are, how capable you are, that you have changed your path to accomplish something that you wanted, not what someone else told you to want. And let me tell you, when you feel powerful and capable and you have success like that, that's when you feel empowered. How could you not? You will realize that you can achieve anything that you desire. You are capable of handling whatever gets thrown your way. You're going to feel confident. You're going to feel successful. You're going to feel fulfilled. And that is part of it. I have worked with some people through this. Like I said, there are a few people that just wanted kind of a quick fix and help them get a job or whatever it might be. I have worked with a few clients that we've stayed together for months, sometimes even years. And they started out feeling pretty dejected. They'd had a failure. Usually when people come to me, something's gone wrong. It's not usually when everything's going right. They don't reach out to a coach when everything's wonderful. So they got laid off, they got fired. And I can think of one person that had a pretty bad work experience, had a failure, and was starting to question themselves, trying to figure out, have I made a mistake being in this profession? Am I in the wrong industry? And so really working with this person to build that story and build that toolbox to realize, no, there are things you are amazing at, that you're really good at. There are some areas that are holding you back. There are some things to work on because in this industry, it's kind of important. So getting them to recognize their power, to see it again, to believe in themselves, to gain more confidence, and get really good at selling themselves. And in this case, they landed a great opportunity with a pretty amazing company that I think you all would recognize. And it went well for a while, but then there was a setback, and this was really not their fault. The environment, and I talked about this, there are toxic environments and toxic bosses. The environment was not what they said they were. They were not what everyone says they are from the outside. And I've worked with numerous clients that have encountered this company, and everyone says the same thing. It's kind of a bad place to be. So the boss was pretty bad. So it was time to get out. It was time to move on because this wasn't going to be a good environment. So they did. They pivoted. They moved into an entirely new company, and they felt even more empowered. They realized how good they were at certain types of things that were quite ambitious, larger in ambition than what the job could give them. And so slowly over the course of months, we built up a plan to say, you know, ultimately what you want. You know, ultimately what you need to do. You have a bit of fear in pursuing it. And so let's strengthen your confidence. Let's do some great preparation so it's less of a risk. And find a way to go after it. And they did. They're doing it right now. So they finally embraced it. They became very powerful in what they were doing. And they are building an entirely new venture. And I've been amazed. It's been fun to watch. It's been fun to watch it grow. Gosh, it's just an amazing thing that they're building. And building a team around them, advisors, getting people interested in it, doing the proof of concept. And just seeing the transformation of this person from doubting themselves and feeling like they had failed to fully embracing what they're capable of doing and going after a venture they'd always wanted to but never felt the courage to pursue. And that's what changed everything. They developed the capability, they saw their success, it gave them greater confidence, and that gave them the courage to do what they really wanted to do. So, I think I've already talked enough about how life coaching and career coaching are different than empowerment coaching, because I think life and career coaching are very focused on strategies and tactics to achieve a goal. So like career coaching, it's like that's climbing the ladder. Whereas empowerment coaching is saying, okay, where do I really want to find my purpose and meaning? Which of course could have a job or it could be a business, whatever it might be. Because it isn't really about getting what you think you want or what other people think you want. Empowerment coaching is about discovering what you truly need. It's about understanding who you are and building on that internal power and confidence and capability. And it's not like it doesn't enhance the other approaches. So I always have thought that if you build on the core, that if you improve your self-confidence and believe it in yourself, and you are making decisions that are aligned with your personal values, you stop trying to be a people pleaser, you stop feeling stressed about things because you know you're capable, you can handle challenges, you're building stronger relationships. Well, guess what? That makes it that much easier to land the great jobs that you deserve, or to build a business, or to improve your relationship. It really does change everything, because it is investing in yourself. It's about creating a life that energizes you versus draining you. And I know I feel that way. Building my coaching practice has been amazing. It totally energizes me. I love working with people and helping people versus the old corporate career that really drained me. And I could barely get to Friday before I burned out. So if you want to talk with me about this, you're not making a commitment to anything. It's just a conversation. It's an initial conversation. I would think, and I've seen this from the people I've done this complimentary call with over the last 9 years, that even if we don't end up working together, it's going to help. It's going to give you some insights. It's going to give you some strategies you could try, some different kinds of exercises you may not have thought of that could help you get clarity, more insight into who you are, more clarity around the goals that you want to pursue. So if this is interesting to you and you want to regain your power, reclaim your power, give me a call and set this call up, because it's not like you're broken. It's not like there's something wrong with you. It is the environment. It is the system. It's being told what we should do and what we want instead of listening to that inner voice. So if you're ready for a change, go to invinciblelife.me and you can book a free call with me. And I promise, again, I will not hit you with any kind of sales pitch whatsoever. Just give me a call. Until next time, I wish you the best of luck with pursuing the life of your dreams so you can be happier, healthier, and more fulfilled.